as first thing, so that we have some things to play with, would everybody please put their email in the chat so that I can invite you to a demo Weaver workspace. So do that now. If you'd like to try something out while we're talking, go ahead and just put them in the chat. And while that's going on, I'm going to go into screen share so that you can see what a Weaver screen looks like. And it'll take a few moments to get all those together, but we'll be talking some in the meanwhile. So what I have done here, I'm going to go into the admin stuff. I'm going to, over here, start a timer for this item. I've allocated 4 minutes to it, and that will spin away. We finished an opening round, and in this, I first said, please give me your IDs, and the agenda we have is a quick intro to Weaver, just to go through some of the features of it verbally, and then some show and tell. And as we're showing you things, you'll be able to go into the workspace and try to do some of the things we're showing you. We'll show you how to go to the Weaver website and sign up for a site if you want, as opposed to a workspace, and we'll explain what that means. And then have 15 minutes at the end for questions and more time to mess around, maybe even try setting up something with your own organization. Does that sound okay to everybody? Okay, no objections to that. I'd like to, at this point, sort of turn things over to Keith. I flipped the stopwatch here, Keith. We got about 4 minutes if you want to just kind of go over the background of Weaver and kind of what some of the things are that it does.
Sure. So Weaver is a collaboration platform, and in order to collaborate, there's a number of challenges that we face. We want to coordinate what we're doing. We want to keep everybody on the same page. You know, at the very basic, you've got email, and a lot of people are using email. They're telling people about things that are happening, but sometimes email gets lost. Sometimes you have duplicate email. Sometimes things change. So we have this site, and you create workspaces. I mean, above workspaces is something we call a site, and a site is just sort of a collection of workspaces, really nothing more than that.
And here I've created a governance alive site, and it has some subordinate circles in it that we'll be looking at.
Yeah, what you're looking at there is the front page of a workspace. And a workspace is the basic unit for controlling information. So for sharing information, there's a bunch of people that you will put into a workspace, and that will allow them to access everything that's there. Also, you know, security is an important part of this. Some organizations are a little different about that, but you want to be able to make sure that if you're putting things there that are sensitive or private, that they are only accessible by the people that are members of the workspace. So John's showing the list of roles here, and there's a lot of roles that you can play, but the most important one is members, and basically everybody who's in the members has basic access to the workspace. Within the workspace, there's 4 basic things that we track. One is meetings. And John will go through that in detail in a moment, but you basically set up a little thing for each meeting, and it'll help you create an agenda, and it'll help you walk through the meeting and so on. Another thing is discussion topics. So there's an ability to, you know, put an idea out there, and then people can comment on things, and those comments are reflected into email, and you know, people can reply and such. So standard discussion forum type capability. The third thing is documents. You always want to share documents, and so there's a nice way to put documents in the workspace. These are going to automatically be shared with everybody. You can put very large documents here, so larger than you can typically send by email, but it's also very easy to send an email with a link to these documents. So if you want to send a large document to somebody, you put it in here and then send the email from here. And those things all remain there, you know, so that when somebody joins your group later, they have access to all the documents that you shared in the past. It's really pretty important. The fourth thing we take care of is action items. So these are like tasks or things you're going to do. So you can create a little, every time it comes up to, oh, we got to get this done. You can create an action item. You can assign it to somebody. There's some email that's automatically sent around. You can track the status of that item, fill in some information. You see the little red, yellow, green balls there, which is a sort of a high-level indication of status. You can have due dates. You can have automatic reminders and stuff like that. So those are the four main things. Now, while you're dealing with all of that stuff, there's some lower-level things that you should be aware of, and one is decisions. So you're working away, you're going to be making decisions, and what we wanted to make here was a place where you could surface all your decisions in one high-level place. Because there's a lot of discussion going on, and there's these comments and replies and all this kind of stuff. But every now and then you'll get to the point where, well, let's make a decision. All of your decisions go into this list, and then they can be reviewed. And also there's a little review by date down there. So to remind you to revisit it every year, you can come back, or whatever the time period is, come back and make sure that decision is still valid and whether you want to change it.
And Keith, I noticed here that we've got a note that we've gone over the amount of time I was planning to spend on this item. And we've really started into the walkthrough of Weaver.
Yep.
And I would like to, if you want to do a screen share on your screen, that'll give me a chance to get everybody set up in the work site.
Okay,
So
I can
I'll
do
just go ahead and
screen
start
share.
this, and I'll get out of screen share here. Let's see, how do I do that? There we go. Stop share.
I think if you leave, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
And I'll just show again this structure here. I'm going to share the right screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking at, so John, I think you set up a workspace for doing some demoing in. Did you want to do it in?
It's a workspace demo here. Let's see, there it is. If you look down at the bottom of the pile, it says demo workspace.
Okay, so again,
that's what I'm going to be trying to give everybody an invite to. I just need to get them invited.
Okay, all right. So, so I'm sharing here. Same sort of thing. So John's prepared a sample meeting here, but it doesn't have much in it because I think his demo is going to fill that out. And I had made my way down to decisions. So this is kind of an empty workspace. The front page, is your easy way to get to everything. You'll notice I'm actually not a member. This would indicate here a little check mark if I'm a member. If I try to go look over there, I can see this because I'm an administrator, but normally you would get a little error message saying, you're not a member of this, so you can't see it. And I should have logged in as a different user that could show you that, but I think you'll have the experience yourself in a moment. So we talked about decisions, and another large part of it is email. There's no email at this point, but I can. So John, should I dive into topics or?
Yeah, I have a good topics thing to show people, and a good documents thing. So maybe if you would be willing to take and invite everybody, let me go ahead and have that because I got that set up. I'm finding I'm having trouble making decent copies, so it's going to be a little bit more time consuming than I had anticipated. Let me give it over to me and let me go show them a few samples of how things work.
All right, well, let me just demo the roles real quickly. This is a role here, and then you can add people's names here. So I exist in the system, so my name is going to appear, and these are all other people that are in this site. So I can then just select myself from the list and add myself to the members. But if they haven't actually accessed the system yet, and this is often the case, you're inviting people that have never been in, you can just add their email address.
I'll give you a sample email address. Try this one right here. White at, here's a simpler one. VC Coffee, VCCOFFEY @gmail.com.
All right, so this person has never accessed the system, but you can add them like this. All you need to know is their email address, and they become members. Now, then there's going to be a way to invite them. So I'll just save this. You'll see three little items here. I can then compose and send an invitation. And so this little message, I can edit this message and change it. For the demo, I can't type today. And send an invitation. This is going to send a little email message out. They'll receive that email message, and then there's a link that you can click on, and it'll prompt you through signing up, because each user has to specify a password. So what we're going to try to do today is I'll invite all of you, and you'll receive this email. So if you can pick up the email, if you can go in and set a password while John's doing the demo, then later on, you'll be able to actually interact yourself with the system. So John, you want to take it back?
Sure. Let me go back here and take over the screen share. If you could go ahead and get them invited.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Let's see here, screen share. So I'm going to just show you some of the advanced things that we can do. Now here I've clicked on topics, and here let me go back a little bit. This course, first of all, is from a facilitation class that I taught back last year, and you can see that it was very handy. It had all 6 sessions. Each session had its own class. So for example, session 6 had its own agenda in it, with a break and the different timing durations, and all those features are very handy when you're running things. But let's look at topics. Topics here, we had a number of discussions on different things, and this topic here was about how do you manage conflicts. And when you run the topic, you can go up here and use a free form if you want, or you can go picture forming, proposal shaping, proposal finalizing, and group things by those groupings, like here, proposal finalizing. And we had a discussion. I don't know that we actually reached a final decision on that. I'm going to show that in a different form, but this keeps all the topics together much more easily, much easier to look at than you do in an email list. And you're able to then form decisions and take them offline without ever having had a live meeting. It's the asynchronous way of doing it. There is a example here, pre-class conversation. You can also do rounds. So in this case, everybody in the class, we started asking the class, what's a favorite, mention something in your personal life that brings you joy. This is a way of getting to know everybody. And you can see that I chose the format that let me form things in a round. And so it was a virtual round, and this is much easier to read than some kind of email string. Everything is together around that particular question or topic. I could have gone here into saying, let's do a proposal, and then here's the proposal. I'll go without email here, post it without email. And now you can see that everybody's name is there, and they can go in here. Like if I'm here, I can say choice, consent, and maybe I write a comment like this, and I save it, and there's my comment. So it's just like the other one, except that you can see here it says consent, and so you can very quickly do a consent round completely offline. So that's what the topics does, is it lets you have an asynchronous meeting. It lets you have a lot of conversations and do rounds or not, whatever works for you. In the documents, actually there's an even better one. I'm going to go here and let me show you this first. There is a hierarchy here. This is the advanced facilitation class here for 2018. I want to go and look at the current one for 2019 because I'm liking the way we've done the documents better here. Everything that's on this documents list has a label. So if I want to see training materials, I just click on training materials and there's all the training materials. Or if I want to see background materials, there's background materials. And here's homework. So that gives me my homework and so forth. It's a really nifty way of organizing and controlling documents that are of use to you. You can see that let me do it this way, just easier just to click. And so that you can have all sorts of labels and so forth for this, so that you can have, I like it better than a Google Doc for keeping things in a particular subject organized. Keith, how are we coming with getting people invited?
I've put the email addresses in, and then there's some delay about sending the email out. And then, of course, so you all should check your email and see if you've received an email invitation. And that email invitation will have a link on it to set your password.
And we'll practice putting together a meeting. Let's see. I'm going to move over myself. I'll go back on the screen share for just a minute. So people can see what's happening. So this is the primary group here. This does not have multiple levels. You can go into more than just 2 levels. And we happen to have a lot here because we use this for all kinds of things. So I go into the demo workspace and I'm going to set up a meeting here. Oh, I've got a sample meeting set to go. So there are lots of things, if you're just trying to use Google Docs or Forms or whatever, that give you a challenge in setting up a meeting. We'll wait for a few minutes well, we won't wait. I'm going to see if anybody is anybody in the roles yet? Yeah, oh great, there's several people in the roles. And you have sent invites in there. Let's find out. You're in setting up the meeting. Let's go ahead and set it up this way so that I'm going to have members. And so if I say, all right, everybody who's in the meeting is going to be a member, I'll add everybody from members, and there's everybody. It looks like Ted, Vernon, Richard have gotten themselves logged in at this point. The meeting right now only says opening round, and we did have an opening round. But let's say that we want to have a practice session. So I go in here and I say practice session with this workspace. And we'll probably we might go 15 minutes with it so people can mess around. And there's no particular presenter. And I'll go in here and the instruction is play with this workspace, start a topic, set up a round, and invite people, etc. So this is the sorts of things we can do.
Yeah, with a real meeting, of course, you'd have a long description in there, but for a demo, we, of course, should keep things really.
Right. I'm going to accept this, and if I wanted it to come before the opening round, I would just move it up, but I like it down here. And then when I click like this, you can see here the instructions, and if I wanted to take notes about it, I showed you earlier that we were taking notes. I would go up here and
before you go there, let's just talk a little bit about those agenda items. So obviously you're used to a meeting with agendas. So these are going to be your talking points. And the reason you can assign them to people is to let them know ahead of time, okay, they're going to be doing a proposal. They're going to be doing, whatever it is. They can also attach documents, and that's what that attachments add is, because if they're doing a presentation, sometimes we get people to add their presentation slides right there. And you can add them before the meeting, during the meeting, or after the meeting. You know, some people are prepared ahead of time. Other people seem to wait till the very last minute. And anybody who misses the meeting will still be able to find the agenda, find all the handouts, all of the documents, and then John will show in a moment how we take notes. And of course, the big point about this is you've got the agenda, but you'll also have the notes, which become the minutes. And the whole idea is you're preparing for your meetings, and you're also keeping a record of what you did. Now he's doing the upload there. As you can see, it's prompting for an upload, so it's going to do the upload, and now it's not only added to the workspace, but it's also associated with that item on the meeting.
So if I can come over here on the sample meeting, and we're in here in the practice session, then I can come in here and just add the document. So it's up here, and I add it over, and it's saved. And now anybody who's looking at the agenda can just click on that, and that item will come up. Keith, you know, we should probably mention in here that this calculates your cumulative time. So we allocated 10 minutes for the opening round, and so it automatically calculates 10 after 2 here, and it goes for 15 minutes. And so there's the 10 minutes for closing round, and this says anticipated end is 2:35. So we're trying to automate all these different things that are always a pain in the neck when you're trying to use any other kind of format.
Why don't you show them how you take notes?
Okay, so we have something that probably
before you do that, sorry,
okay.
Before you do that, post the meeting. Because posting is an important step. It's a draft now, but posting is where you're actually then going to say, okay, this is ready for viewing by other people. So if you can post it with or without an email announcement. And there's also another reminder that will be sent before the meeting itself. So now he's composing an email here, and you can add the players to that. And then
I can save the preview. This is what you'll see down here.
Yeah, that's what the email message will look like. That's not really the best format. Why don't you change that to the agenda? That's full detail, but if you scroll up a little bit on meeting right there, that you got that layout. So you just choose the agenda detail at the bottom. Yeah, and now save that and let's see what that looks. You have to save it.
Right. Okay.
Save is right there. Save and preview.
Save and preview. Got it. Okay. I was confused. All right. So
and then
now
scroll down, like and now it looks like that. It's a little shorter, a little more compact. So you got a bunch of different formats that you can send out. But why don't you go ahead and send that?
Okay. So you'll see that in your inbox shortly. And as we're going along, if you if you've registered, just go into this sample meeting and be adding stuff. You can be adding agenda items, for instance, as we're moving along. I'm going to go in here.
Go back to the meeting.
I'll go back to the meeting, and I'll. Nope.
You're in the email. So go to the meetings.
Sorry. Go to meetings and open the sample meeting. And
so now it's in planning mode. And what planning means is that.
And excuse me, I encourage everybody to go into the worksite now that you have the link, and try adding an agenda item while I'm doing this work.
So planning mode is you've announced the meeting, but the meeting's like next week or something like that. So planning, while you're doing planning, people can be updating the agenda, can be making comments on the agenda, because sometimes you'll have people that want to attend the meeting but can't, but still want to have their say, so they can put a little comment in there. And then when it gets around to actually running the meeting, there's another mode for running. So once you switch it into running mode.
There you go.
And this enables like the little timers and the kind of things that he was showing you. So, and it also is the mode that you edit the minutes, the notes.
And I'm going to pull this down here so that I can set it up as a separate screen. And what makes it complicated is all these the sharing things here. So I'll start this right here if we want to set the timer going. And then any notes we take here, though the reason for this screen on the side is that while I'm taking notes, somebody else can be also taking notes. So there can be multiple people, just like you can on a Google Doc, taking notes. And as we type, then those notes show up for anybody that's not trying to take notes, that wants to just watch it in the meeting itself. Shall we? Oh, it looks like somebody put in something here. Great. Who put that in?
Landscaping.
What's that? Who put in landscaping?
Speak up. It's okay.
Speak up. Who put in? It's fine. It's great that you put in landscaping. Who put it in? Who put it in asynchronous meetings with Weaver?
Asynchronous meetings with Weaver was me, Richard Gorman.
Okay, then click on either the proposed thing or the accept.
And the landscaping item was mine, Suzanne.
Okay, click on accept. Or
you can do it, John. I mean, in fact, a lot of people want to propose things and not really accept them. They want someone who's running the meeting to accept
right,
them.
that's where this comes in handy. We can be in the opening round and we haven't really thought to prepare an agenda. People can just propose them, and then either the circle administrator or the facilitator can just come in here and say, all right, let's organize the agenda. And we want things before the closing round, so we'll move it up, move the closing round down. And now we have an agenda assembled with suggested times.
I have a question. Is there anything that would say, let's for example, I've put landscaping, but it's for discussion, for decision, it's for clarification, like the purpose of the agenda item. Is the possibility of putting that anywhere?
Yeah, probably the best thing to do is to just go into the description here and say, this is for discussion only.
Okay.
And then you have all that there, rather than try to come up with artificial categories. You can just put it in yourself.
Yeah, I often find from participating in a number of meetings, like the discussion stuff, you often want them at the end of the meeting. The decision stuff, you want them at the beginning of the meeting, because this is where you want to spend your time. Even though you've automatically put like 15 minutes, sometimes if you're in a decision item, you just want more time, and then you're willing to let go of the discussion stuff.
Right. If you have everybody participating, you can say, do we want, or it's a proposal, have landscaping?
Yeah.
And then you can post it here, and then everybody can come in to this, and you can try going in. I'll say that I can consent to that. Actually, I changed my mind. I think I'm going to object to that. I have plant allergies.
Or could you say, like often what I find is that you get a proposal, but people need clarification before they can even object. So is there some flexibility in customizing it a little bit, that it's not just consent, object? It's I need clarification before I.
Sure. If you want to have just a round, we can call this reactions round. Post without email. So now we have a reactions round, and there's no consent coming up on this. People can just say, I have plant allergies or whatever, and then you can follow that by a decision if you want to be using this feature.
Okay.
Now that's particularly helpful for online meetings. If you have a live meeting, then you probably have only one person taking minutes, although they might still use this just to keep track of what people's comments were. it can keep make for efficient note taking if they want to take it at that level of detail.
Okay,
So
thanks.
yes, those are all there.
And if you're having trouble seeing what he's just added, like if he just adds something, I mean, the screen refreshes at some rate, but sometimes it doesn't refresh very fast. So just go ahead and refresh the screen, the page, if you want to see the latest things. And I see that almost all of you have made it in. So that's good. Now we have 8 people accessing the meeting right now.
Yeah. So if you want to, you can experiment with going in here and just, you know, making a comment. Keith has made a comment, and so you can just add a comment if you want.
Yeah, try adding a comment on that.
So more questions. One thing to mention is that there is a training, a YouTube training channel here. I just clicked down there on training, and here it is. Weaver for the first time user. It covers a lot of the things we've been talking about. It's quite thorough training. There was a concern that people with low IT skills might not be able to use it. We find that if they go in and are conscientious about particularly taking this one right here, they can go in and use it. You know, the explanation seems to make it simpler for them. Go ahead, Keith.
And the thing is, there's 2 kinds of users. You have the people that want to run a meeting, and so they need to learn some of these concepts, like where to set things up and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the people are just going to attend the meeting. And so they come up and they just see this web page with all the agenda items. And so we've tried to design it to be very simple for those users. They don't really have to know anything. They just click on the link and up comes the agenda and they can follow along.
Right. All they have to be able to do is to just click on one of these items and see the notes that are being taken.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other things. Actually, Keith, if you want to get the website set up so we can show them how to get a site, the Circle Weaver site, I just want to show a couple of things here. When you're setting up this meeting, you can do things like saying, gee, we have a lot. I'll just go to the meeting list here to show the simplest way. We have a lot of things that are going to be similar. So I'm going to set up a new meeting, and I want to keep the opening round, and I want to have questions about Weaver and landscaping and closing round. And so now I clone the meeting, and here's a new sample meeting. I can go in here, and this defaults to ahead to 1 week, but we say, no, we actually want to have it on the 10th of October at 5 in the evening, and I'm on Eastern time. So, but this automatically resets the time for everybody when they receive it. We want to remind everybody 3 days in advance, and I want to have a different layout and so forth, and I want to have the participants be everybody who's in the meeting. So I save that, and I go ahead and I set an email, send email about the meeting.
Well, you would want to post it, actually, because
if you want to post it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's all those features that, again, automates everything that's such a pain in the neck when you're normally having meetings. You know, trying to remind people and all that kind of thing. It's all automated in here. Keith, do you want to show people, I'll get out of screen sharing. Do you want to show people how to sign up for a site? And
Yes.
just a real quick thing. A site lets you come up with unlimited numbers of workspaces. So if you're a site owner, you can, you know, be for a huge organization or a small organization.
Okay, so
why don't you show them the Circle Weaver site itself? Can you do that? But go ahead.
The Circle Weaver site?
The public site. And well, actually, I'll put that in the chat.
Oh, yeah, right. CircleWeaver.com.
And also mention things about cost, please.
currently it's free. What we want to do is go to a model where you'll always have the basic ability to run the meeting. So everything we're showing today, it will always be available for free. So that's easy. We want to have some added items that then we can charge for, so that we can support the servers and all that kind of stuff. But so this is the Circle Weaver site, and a little bit of information, all that kind of stuff. But you can click on Try Out Weaver here, and it brings you to this point. And what I'm going to do is I'll walk you through actually creating a site at this time. So my site is going to be hang gliders anonymous, and I click next, and at this point you would be, I'm logged in. If I hadn't been logged in, it would then prompt you to log in, or it'd prompt you to create a user, just like we just did. So that's all pretty much the same. You need to have a key, which is a small thing. So it's basically pulled 8 letters out there. So that's my key. Here's the purpose: to help people recover from hang gliding addiction. I didn't quite get that right, but that's fine. And then now here, you don't have to have a pre-approval code. So I'll just
They can use the CCC 2019.
So without the pre-approval code, then it comes to us and we have to approve it. And we usually do that within a day. So anybody that's doing this, you just go ahead and do it. If you have this code, it'll just automatically give you a site instantaneously. So I just go ahead and do that. And it's just one little check here, just so that, we know that you're not a robot. And when it's all set, you request it. And so now the site has been requested. I'll receive an email saying, what's on there, but I can also, because I use the code, it's automatically in there. I actually manage quite a few sites, but down here in here, you'll see Hang Gliders Anonymous is here, and my site is now set up. And sites are fairly quick and easy to set up, so don't worry too much about creating them. And then within a site, you need to create a workspace. You can create as many workspaces as you want to, and you can, again, different people are in different workspaces. So that's, if you have a couple of different groups, you want to create a couple different workspaces. So if I create a workspace, which is called, say, weekly meetings, and then this is for all the people who come weekly, great. And I can actually enter some people here. So if I want to put,
John Buck.
Yeah, John Buck. Nobody's in this workspace yet. That's why it's not automatically prompting you. Is it John Buck?
Yeah, Governance Live. You chose the hard one. .com.
Go ahead.
There you go.
Okay. So anyway, but you don't have to put anybody in there. Just go ahead and create the workspace. And so now I got a workspace. It's got these users in here, and you can start creating meetings, topics, documents, action items, decisions, everything.
So if everybody would check their chat, you'll see that I have in there the Weaver the Weaver website. You go there, just click, say, take Weaver. It has the pre-approval code, also the CCC 2019, and you're up and running. And we're encouraging lots and lots of people to try this out. If you would rather have it in German, we have it also operating in German now.
I have one
Part of
question.
it. Part of it's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is this a good moment? So I see that the circle, like just the visual there of the circle, the weekly meetings thing. And so that was just generated automatically, I assume.
Yes.
And then I saw in a previous one that you showed that there were more circles than that. Do they, I guess I would love to see an example, if it's easy, of more on what it looks like.
Let me just create another workspace very quickly. So I've got weekly meetings here, and let's say that, so what I do is I go back up to the site, and I create another workspace, and I'm going to call this,
Hi, hangers.
the quarterly festival. And can I create the workspace? The name already exists. Oh, why? Because I
Oh,
actually
you probably
made,
have it somewhere else.
I probably have another one like that. Yeah, exactly. So let me just refresh this and try again.
Hi, hangers.
Hi hangers.
Right.
And create the workspace. Oh gosh, why is that doing that?
We got a bug. The one warning in this is still beta software, and we still sometimes run across weird stuff.
Oh, I have to. Oh my. My. This is demo effect for sure.
Yes, this is demo effect. Why don't we switch over to one of the regular sites, like the board site, and just show what it looks like and maybe how to add something.
So, is you see the workspaces that I visited in this session all sort of appear here. So I've been at the LLC board, and these are sort of linked up with a parent-child relationship. So if I go down,
why don't you show how to put a parent in demo workspace?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Let's just say, for example,
can you nest a workspace in a workspace? I mean, you know, basically circles on a circles on a circles.
Yes,
you can. That's what I'm going to show you here, because see how I've got this Weaver Tech and I've got this implementation struggles. What I want to do is I want to move the demo workspace to be under here. So what I do is I visit demo workspace and I go into admin and I choose here implementation struggles. See that? And I save that. Now let's go back to the front page. So now what I'm going to see is I'm going to see demo workspace with implementation struggles above it. And if I click on implementation struggles, we'll now see the three of them lined up like that. So by linking these together by parents, I mean, they're not really nested. They're separate workspaces, but you can build this tree that just makes it easy to navigate between them. And it makes it easier for your users to find things.
Cool, thank you.
And if I go up to the top, it's no longer here because it's been now nested underneath this one.
More questions?
Can I have a question, please? I've seen that when you're making a consent round, you can actually edit consents of other people, other members. Is it intentional?
Yes. Yeah. So actually, you know, when we did this a few years ago, we locked everything down, and only one person could edit what they did, and what we found is that got into the way. We're trying to foster teams that are working together, and we found that people wanted to jump in and help correct other people's information. So if I go into, I think this is the work site with the sample meeting, if I have it right. And if I go into the sample meeting and go to that landscaping here, I'm actually able to enter in answers for other people. And we didn't allow that originally, but we found that it was very, very useful. And again, in a group of people that are cooperating, you know, if you do this, there's a sort of an assumption that you have the approval to do so, and that works.
If I could just add, Keith, if somebody's calling into the meeting by phone, then they're not going to be able to enter it. So you got to be able to have somebody else enter it for them.
Yeah.
And everybody is then able to watch out for each other. It just fosters teamwork.
It allows you can have a facilitator for the meeting, and then the facilitator is entering everything in. Or you can have people enter it themselves. And,
or the circle administrator can do it.
Or the circle administrator, yeah. And so that it just gives you a lot of flexibility, and we just haven't had a problem with people making you know, inappropriate changes. I mean, it can happen, but if it does, everybody knows about it, and generally the normal social mechanisms keep that in line.
Okay, thank you. So currently there is no such switch on off this feature, and just everybody can edit everything.
Yeah, that's it.
And it seems to work very well.
Smartphones are supported. Now it's not perfect. But I do access this. I was on the road for 3 weeks and I was jumping in and improving people's websites, and you can see the meeting agenda and everything. So there's clearly some improvement that we can do there, but it does size itself down to the small size, and it's usable. I think that's probably the best way to put it.
I see there's some other questions there. It is not focused on sociocracy. It enables sociocracy, but if you want to use some other format, then it works just fine. There's nothing that forces you to use the Sociocratic tools.
Yeah, that is correct.
How simple is to use for new users with little tech background? I mentioned before that the very simplest one is you're just in a meeting and you're watching what's going on. And so you can participate that way. Watching the demos in the training, just clicking training down here seems to solve it for most people. How customizable is it for experts? Keith, you can answer that.
Our focus has not been too much on customization, and the idea is to provide, because there's two problems with that. If it's highly customizable, then it's very hard to train people for it. Different people come to different workspaces, they see different things. So we've focused on keeping it easy, simple, straightforward for everybody as a common basis, and haven't really spent a lot of time customizing at this point.
But I will say that the Germans, there's a lot of German users of this, and they wanted to have things in German. So we were able to set up the system so that they could set up a translation table. We set up a translation table so that they could be just translating all the common words into German, all the instructions and so forth.
I think you should also mention that not much of it is translated. So the system is able to be translated, but not much of it has actually been translated.
Enough that they get by with the basic stuff. I guess we could go deeper than they have.
If you're interested, I can show this, which is all you do is go to language here, and you choose. That's fonts. Here's language. Choose your preferred language. For some reason I don't have German in here yet, so let me do that. This is a little bit more complicated than I thought it was going to be, but
well, they asked for experts.
Where is Deutsch?
Deutsch is no, it's German.
It's
not
German.
Deutsch.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sie sprechen zu viel Deutsch.
Okay. And so I've just changed my browser there, and so if I refresh, this does not appear in Deutsch. Let me try that again. Set my language. I'm still set to English. I thought I set that. Did you guys see me set that?
Yeah, we did. We may be having demo. There it said English again. So anyway, there's
Okay.
at least there, and probably has to be fixed up. But the main thing is that it was not. I think we've discovered another bug here.
Oh, well, this is the browser. This is not us. But anyway, we'll leave it at that, I think.
Okay. So the answer is can you give me the list of questions again, Keith, that hit implementation struggles?
Yeah, that was back in demo workspace.
Yeah.
Meetings and sample meeting.
Yeah. So the other questions, if we could hit that. Customizable for experts, yeah, well, we found a bug there. Works for smartphones, yes. Blind dexterity, communication difficulties, I'm not sure what that question was.
There's the standard features in there for being able to navigate for the blind. There's some HTML features. So those are implemented. You can navigate around the page. So there's a disability standard for that, and we comply.
Okay, so any more questions before we wrap up? I would like to get a quick round, concluding round. In fact, let's move to that, Keith. Why don't we, I have it open on my screen. I'm just going to take some notes. Closing round, can we go around and just get reactions to this? And Ted, you may be in a better position to do that than I am because I've got all kinds of screens covered here. We probably ought to get out of a screen share, Keith.
All right. So, what do people think? Let's see. Anybody ready? Sheila, you look like you're ready. Sheila, and then maybe Suzanne.
Well, I didn't know at all what to expect when I came into this. It looks really interesting. I think it would definitely help people run meetings because I know a lot of time gets spent doing that. I'm just really looking forward to playing around with it now. That's where I'll really get to understand what's going on, I think. Check.
Suzanne and Mark.
Yeah, and I would ditto what Sheila just said. Check.
It looks very interesting. I certainly want to have a little play, understand it a bit more. One quick question, longer term security, it's under development, so just some feedback on that at some point. But, yeah, good.
But are you talking about information security from the point of view of how long the information will be there, or in terms of protecting from outside attacks? Which one?
Or will Weaver be around tomorrow?
All of those really, but yeah, but primarily will it be around tomorrow? Yeah.
Yeah. So, actually we've been running this for 10 years. I have some data in here that's 10 years old. It's quite stable. And we've always migrated data forward. So there's never any disruption in terms of, oh, we got a new version, you got to throw your data away and start. We've carried everybody along so far. I don't think there's any problem with running it for a long time.
And if we were to shut it down at some point, then we would just transfer the data to everybody, so that there would be no data lost.
There is a way to export all your data if you wish, but again, I would stress it's highly unlikely that it would stop.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, and Russ has left. So Richard, if you want.
Hey, this is Richard. First of all, just like to thank everybody for their time. This has been very interesting. Watching with my team here in Quebec City, Canada, we've enjoyed the presentation. We're also realizing that in order to make Weaver effective the way that it's been demonstrated, obviously you have to have strong sociocracy practices within the team, because the Weaver doesn't replace strong practices. So that's what we're reflecting on right now, and really excited to see a new tool that can help us once we get those practices mastered to be able to go a little further and organize especially meetings. So thank you so much for the presentation.
And having the tool for the discipline helps the discipline happen.
That's a good observation.
That's what I've found, is that having it there makes the discipline easier.
I know that Russ left, but Russ did actually succeed in signing up with a site, so he has a site now.
Right, he's probably just back to meetings, as so many of us. You said how to pronounce your name, and I don't remember. It was what I said was wrong. Yes.
It's Michael. Thank you very much for this software. It looks very interesting, and I already can see how we can effectively facilitate and log our meetings. So thank you very much. We'll try it definitely.
And again, I encourage you to look at that the training channel, particularly the introduction for users. It'll reinforce what we said today.
Yeah, thank you from me. I looked at Weaver a few years ago, I think. So no, it's good to refresh it again. Very interesting. One sweet little thing that I really like was the timer. That's just me wanting stricter meetings, I guess. So thank you for that. Anything else you want to add right now, John and Keith?
I just want to say that it's when Fujitsu Advanced Software Lab called me up a few years ago and said, would I like to join on this project? I was delighted, and I've just been really enjoying working with Keith to develop this.
And my background is not sociocracy at all, but that's why I was really happy to meet John, because he has that method. I have a number of users that are using it, groups that are using it that have nothing to do with sociocracy, but I do think that that adds a whole lot to running your organization. So I thought that was a really good thing. And I really want to encourage you to watch the videos, because that'll walk you through a lot of things very easily, so that you don't have to struggle.